Meeting call to order. Councilmember Chapman is absent. Councilmember Clayton.
Here.
Councilmember Kendall.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Here. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Mayor Moore.
Here.
We will now have a silent prayer, a moment of reflection. We will now salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As to comply with the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in the following manner. The annual notice was forwarded to the Asbury Park Press, the Coaster, and the Star Ledger on January 7, 2021, and posted on the bulletin board the same date. All notices are on file with the city clerk. We are now on to proclamations. We have two proclamations. Our first proclamation is proclaiming April 30th, 2021 as Arbor Day. The second proclamation is proclaiming May 6th, 2021 as a National Day of Prayer. We will now move on to the special event applications.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The only application before you this evening is from Asbury Fresh, and their request is to use Kennedy Park on Sundays through November. I am asking that the council just approve their usage right now through the end of May, because no other applicant has requested to use the park. For the months of June through November, Asbury's Fresh would their approval to use the park would be contingent on if we receive other applications that are approved by the Special Events Committee. So again, the approval is just for the month of May at this particular meeting. Are there any questions?
Alicia, it's for May and June, right?
Well, yes, we can go through
Yeah.
June 20th
Correct.
yeah, June 20th, yes. Sorry about that.
Nope.
Okay, thank you. Next.
We are now on to items to be presented. We will have a presentation regarding the e-scooters by Michael Manzella, Director of Transportation, and James Bonanno, the Transportation Manager. Mike, James.
Hello, everyone. Sorry. I got this now. I'm now unmuted, unlike last time. Hello, everyone. So we are looking for a new e-scooter vendor. I know you all know that we used to have Spin, who kind of fell off after the COVID pandemic hit. Sorry. Oh, Mark, you the next slide, please. So just a history of e-scooters. E-scooters kind of came around in the scene around 2017, and they were the newest shared mobility service, and they became very popular very quickly. Within 1 year, they were operating in 65 U.S. cities. There's been a number of New Jersey cities that have had them. Asbury Park, we had ours. Elizabeth and Hoboken have all had pilot programs. Hoboken currently intends to continue with scooters, and Newark, they didn't have a pilot program, but they had just released an RFP for 2,000 scooters. These are legal. In 2019, there was legislation adopted to include these in Title 39 to regulate them as operation of low-speed electric vehicles. So the benefits, e-scooters are an efficient way to lower our traffic congestion and lower our demand for parking. They create a new way to move around town. It's affordable. Usually it's around $3 for a trip. There's lower emissions and air pollution. Then they also provide opportunities for underserved residents because they are so affordable and so easy to get around. So people who don't own motor vehicles can easily rent a scooter for a couple of dollars and zip across town. Mike? These were our Spin scooters that we had until last year. The box on the ground is our geocoded, geofenced parking station. We use these instead of the physical stations. And these are the locations around the whole city. Each orange dot was one geofence station. They were, no cost nothing to install. We just painted our box on the ground so we could see it physically. And in the app and scooter itself, it recognized where it was and if you could park. And when you're in one of these zones, it would let you park and end your rental. So this is a heat map of all the rides that Spin had in the short time they were operating. They were operating between August and February of 2019 to 2020. And as you can see, they cover, I'm pretty sure that's every road in Asbury. And the darker and thicker they are, it means the more traveled they were. So the Oceanfront, Cookman, and Main Street especially, they're all very highly traveled, as well as a lot of other roads in town. So they were pretty popular while they were here. And to that extent, these are some of our trip and our ridership numbers. As you can see, our first month, we had 15,000 riders with the utilization of 4.7, which means that each scooter was rented about 4.7 times a day. And that continued on. September was a lot. October, obviously, with the weather getting a little colder, it started to dip. And just for your knowledge, I wrote down the actual number, total number. It was about 43,657 rentals total in the life of the program, which was fairly short. That's a lot of rentals in a short period of time. Mike? So we put out an RFP for a new vendor with some requirements and some lessons learned from our previous program. We wanted to keep around the same number of scooters we had in our previous program, which was at minimum 50 and at most 250. We found at our last program that 12 miles per hour was a safe and manageable speed, and we want to continue with that speed. We wanted to make sure that the city was not responsible for any cost. With our previous bike share program, we had a mishap where we ended up paying for a significant portion of the program, and we wouldn't want that to happen this time. We also were looking for a revenue sharing option so that we could make some money off of the popularity of the scooters. We also want to make sure that the scooter share provider was responsible for insurance policy as well as indemnification of the city and hold harmless agreement, and that they were being safe as far as COVID-19 was concerned and keeping things clean and sanitized and not perpetuating this virus. We are hoping to launch by Memorial Day. Mike? So we received a couple of proposals. Our favorite and we recommend is Link. These are their scooters. They have a lot more technology than the Spin scooters did. They monitor live their whole operations. They have a lot of safety checks, and they constantly go through different safety checks to make sure things are working properly. And they'll turn themselves off, and if they're not working correctly, they won't be allowed to be rented. Mike, can you go to the next one? So, yeah, so each one has a vehicle intelligence system that detects mechanical and electrical issues within very small seconds and everything. And it's constantly monitoring itself to make sure they're operating correctly. So we shouldn't have problems with damaged scooters or broken scooters being rented and people getting hurt. So they have tip-over detection and also automated notifications to their local teams. So Link would have a team nearby in town of mostly local residents, hopefully, and they would be alerted if scooters were tipped over from the wind or people were pushing them over, and they would come out and pick them up. That way we wouldn't have scooters littered all over the place. I know we had some occasions where Spin scooters were all knocked over at certain stations, and it was a little messy. That wouldn't happen, or at least it would happen, but it would be fixed quickly. So the Link looks to charge for rentals $1 to unlock, as well as 35 cents a minute to ride. They do offer day passes and annual passes. That'd be $12 a day or $300 a year, which would give you about a free rental and 30 minutes free on the scooter. They would then charge you 35 cents a minute after that half hour. They also proposed a revenue share of a $50,000 lump sum at launch to help us get up to speed on education and enforcement and infrastructure, and as well as 35 cents per trip. So every rental, the city would receive 35 cents overall through the life of the program. Mike? They do offer other special discounts. So for students, we could do a 30% off discount for Monmouth University, Brookdale College, and Community College. Seasonal discounts, we could possibly do a September to May 30% discount. So we kind of have the residents of the town have a little bit of leeway in the off months, and in the summer when everything's very busy, we make a little extra. as well as other options for essential workers or rides to vaccines. The most important one is the Link Up program. This provides a 70% discount to people in the low income bracket, and it would just really help our lower income community get around town on scooters, especially those who don't have cars and have to get around to certain things. Mike? So we want to make sure that everyone's educated on how to ride the scooters and where they can ride their scooters. And Link offers a few different ways we could do that. Basically, new riders have to go through an ID verification and a new rider quiz. And they might even do, if we would like, a slow first ride so that we can limit their speed to 8 to 10 miles an hour instead of the full 12, so they can get used to it. There's also in-app tips. There's stickers on the scooters that constantly have new, or not new information, but information about safety and rules and local rules. And all this will be customized to Asbury Park with the city employees, with our input and everything. So we'd help them develop these specific things for our rules and our desires about what we want our people to know. They also do online events and in-person trainings, as well as webinars and things like that for other people interested in learning more and who feel uncomfortable about scooters. Mike? Our spin program, we ran from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. and at 9 p.m. the scooters were taken in overnight. So we are going to continue with that same operating hours of 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., but Link would like to leave the scooters out overnight. They are heavier, more durable than the spin scooters. They also have the tip over detection, so people the Link will know if they're knocked over and they can come pick them up, I think up until 11 p.m. at night. It isn't that much different than the old program. They will be outside still, but I think it wouldn't be too bad. Mike? So they do offer a lot of data sharing, and it's a lot of different information that they'll provide us, like riders' times, durations, where they went. And this is all really helpful for us as city employees and like me and Mike, especially as transportation, to plan out either new and improved infrastructure, to see what accident locations we have or what, unsafe locations, as well as, what locations are more popular. I mean, maybe if one location downtown is very more popular, we can put more scooters there and hopefully lower parking demand even further. So all that information would be very helpful for us and Link moving forward in Asbury Park. We did have a small problem with underage users using the spin scooters. Link would use age verification when you first sign up for a scooter, as well as at an interval that we determine is needed. We could do it every couple rides. It could be random, but basically it would continually ask for verification of a driver's license and a picture of someone's face, and use a company called Jumio, which specifically does and works with age verification and verification of identifications. Also, Link would have only one account per phone, so you could not make an account and pass it to someone else, which would definitely cut down on people sharing accounts and letting underage users use more scooters. Link has offered to reach out to the police department and work with them directly to teach them how they can enforce scooters, as well as work with them on how they can contact Link. They want to provide a direct line to their enforcement, Link's enforcement, to the police, so they can contact them at any time of day, and they will work together to figure out issues and problems with either unsafe riding or whatever else comes up with the scooters. And also, people have to provide pictures after every ride of where the scooters are, and it will keep track of how users use scooters and kind of give them a score of if they are a good user or a bad user, and could potentially kick out some of the people who use them inappropriately or damage them. So Link aims to respond within 2 hours for any local issues and within 30 minutes for all ADA-related complaints. They try to get there as soon as possible and really work with our police to maximize our enforcement. We know we made it very clear that was an issue we were very concerned about, and they are very willing to take the initiative and work with our police department to help them enforce scooters and figure out how we can keep things safe in Asbury Park this summer and moving forward. I think that's all I have. Thank you. Please, if you have any questions, please let me know.
And just so council's aware, there is a resolution on this agenda to award a contract to Link for the scooter share program. So
yes.
I have a couple questions. Oh, but Moore can go first by all means.
Okay, thank you. So the age verification app, is that more money to the city?
No, none of this would cost the city anything. This is all at zero cost to the city.
Okay, explain to me a day pass. Why would somebody rent this for a day if you can't lock it and I drive it to the hardware store and somebody can steal it?
No, so the day pass means that you can do as many rentals as you like in a day. So let's say you rode to the hardware store and you ended your rental. Then you could do another rental for free, and you could ride wherever you want to go and then end that rental. Then get another rental. So you could do as many as you'd like in the 24-hour period.
Okay. And then do we get the 35 cents for each one, just the 35 cents for the first day rental?
Each rental, so each one, we would get the 35 cents.
Each day rental or each time somebody gets on?
Each scooter rental, each individual scooter rental, regardless of the day pass, yearly pass, or anything like that.
So that would be the same for the yearly pass of $300. They wouldn't get a one-time fee of 35 cents. It would be every time they rented one, they would pay the 35 cents to the city.
Yeah, and
yes.
I've unmuted Ben LaRocco. He's from the Link team. If there's any specific questions that we can't answer, but my understanding is that the Link will calculate the number of rides that are taken and then pay us on a regular basis for the number, 35 cents times the number of rides. And Ben, you could correct me if I'm wrong.
So we're looking to shut this down at 8:30.
9 o'clock.
Can we put it some type of kill switch on the entire system so it shuts down, like say at 11 the latest, just so somebody doesn't run one at 8:30 and go bar hopping?
Sorry,
Mike, you want to go?
Yeah, I was just gonna say. So no, it's not. It wouldn't be safe to end a trip in the middle of someone riding down the street. However, Ben, you might be able to speak to some of the in-app messaging and other things that can be done. And if the scooter sits idle, what happens?
Well, I'm not.
I think Ben might be muted.
Not enthusiastic as far as somebody can rent one at 8:30 and drive it to 3 o'clock in the morning by just going 2 or 3 to a pair. Okay, you watch them, I'll go in the bar. I'll watch them, you go in the bars. I mean,
so
why can't we put a kill switch? They all go dead at 11.
That's something we could definitely talk to them about. So my understanding is if it sits idle for a certain period of time, they do put a kill switch on the rental. So if it's not after 9 o'clock, if it's not moving for, I believe it's 5 or 10 minutes, whatever we set it at, that it will actually turn off.
Okay, then the last question, they want you to leave everything out overnight. How much do these things weigh? Because I don't want to leave these downtown overnight, and then you got some Yahoo clown picks one up, throws it through a plate glass window.
They're heavy. They're not easy to just toss around. And they do have alarms, as James mentioned, tip over detection. It would be very loud and obvious that someone was trying to do some damage.
Right, and it's got a 30-minute reply for ADA in 2 hours. It just scares me leaving potential projectiles on the street in any place in the city, be it in front of my house, be it in front of a store, be it in front of a Boardwalk building. So I'm not sure I'm enthused about they stay out overnight, but
and we talked to Link about this, and they have in other large cities and large markets, and they don't have any issues with this. And they are willing to accommodate us and remove scooters from the street if we see that it becomes an issue, or we request it.
That's all my questions. Thank you.
Okay.
So I just have a couple of questions. So one, I really appreciate going through what our problems were last time and trying to, not have those problems again this year. And so I appreciated there seems to be a lot more lighting on this scooter than there was in first Spin. Spin kind of had that front headlight and there wasn't maybe a back one, but this one seems to have stuff on the side as well. Yes, or am I?
Yes,
looked at
yes,
the
it does.
pictures.
It
Okay.
has a very strong light on the front, much stronger than spin, sorry, and it has other lights on the scooter. So they light up green when they're available, and even at night, they light up red. So there's always some kind of light on them. It's not, super bright that it's going to be blinding people walking down the sidewalk, but it is bright enough so people can see where they're going, so people can see where the scooter is going and identify the person on the scooter.
Okay, great. And then how many locations in the city are we doing again? Just a number on that.
Mike, do you have a number of the?
Yeah, we had 50 locations
Okay.
mapped out last time, and on the screen is the map. Basically, anywhere within 2 or 3 to 4 blocks, there was a scooter parking zone, and it worked out really well in that folks all over the city were able to ride to areas all over the city, and we saw that.
And so I would just say my 2 cents is the more rigorous age verification process you make it, the better. One of the major problems we had last time was obviously people well under 18 riding them. Like no question, that was like something I saw repeatedly. So however rigorous that age verification process could be, and I know that you're limiting how many in terms of the app and the phone, so multiple people can't do it, but like continuing on a rigorous verification process, that would be helpful.
Sure.
And then I love the linked up program. One of the great things I actually loved about Spin was seeing people from all over the city, throughout the city, using the scooters. So, I'm all in on the linked up program. I think that's certainly one we can start, and then maybe work on the decide later about the student discount or any of the other things. But the LinkedIn, I would totally be in. Another thing I would love to see is Spin was, to their credit, very good about hiring local people who picked up the scooters in front of my house. I knew all of them. So can we have something that talks about, more than half of the people hired to facilitate this program would be Asbury Park residents? Or can we get a commitment of that in some way that that we're kind of dedicated to that?
Ben,
Hey, this is Ben from Link. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can.
All right. Sorry, I don't know why you couldn't before. My apologies. Yes, our goal is always to hire local, and we absolutely would love to work with the city on any sort of jobs program you have. As far as, if it's any kind of reentry program or anything that you're working to help different residents. So we would love to have local residents staff our operations.
And maybe Ben and James and Mike and I can help. To me, this is also like a great job for a high school student that, has some spare time but needs, time to go to class or whatever. So maybe we could do an introduction with the representatives from the high school to see if we could kind of motivate there. So happy to help in that. And in my experience, the sooner we engage the school system in these discussions, the better. What was my other one? Oh, bad weather. I assume you bring them in for bad weather. John kind of alluded to this as well. Like if we're having hurricane type winds, I assume you come pick them up, or you don't.
Oh, hold on. He's muted again. Hold on.
Okay.
Sorry, sorry to get muted again. Sorry. Yes, we have a number of different extreme weather emergencies. You guys, where you could sort of get both a big snowstorm or a hurricane. We would work with the city, determine there's an emergency. We usually try to get 24 hours warning to get everything off the street. So, hey, this hurricane's going to hit. There's going to be big warning. There's going to be a big storm. We would pull all those scooters into the warehouse, and same with a snowstorm.
Okay. And then I know that you're open to doing workshops and want to do some workshops before this launch. And again, I'm going to reiterate, like at or near the high school. One of the things that I loved seeing on the scooters last time was kids from the high school, riding all over town. So just again, bringing up that is the high school would be maybe a great resource for both jobs and at least one of the workshops. And I think that's
sure.
it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and just I'd love to add one thing to the lighting factor. we designed those to automotive lighting standards. So they're going to have the same visibility and distance that like a headlight or taillight would have.
Yeah, no, I don't think we had enough lighting on the spin. And again, it was early in the scooter game. So Mike and I think we learned a lot from that experience. No question about it. And also, Mike, you should do an introduction with Leisha because she does so much with the recreation programs and kids.
Oh, absolutely.
And,
I think that's one of the things that we were really happy about this time is that, we found a vendor that is willing to do a lot more in-person education outreach than we had for our pilot program. They're really committed to this community. So and I love the idea of starting the first time on the scooters as somebody who actually used them quite a bit, starting at the 8 as opposed to the 12. Yeah.
I think that for safety purposes is, when you first get on a scooter, it's a little like, okay, it can be a bit overwhelming. So starting it slow, I think that's a great, I don't know who thought of that idea, but that's a great idea.
We do it in the city of Seattle currently. That was our first market where we worked with the city on that low speed first ride.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many people initially are not thrown off the scooter, but are rattled by how fast it initially goes the first time they ride it. So I think that's it. I'm going. Oh, the last thing, two last things regarding the app is Spin. I think Spin still has 9 of my dollars from doing a deposit. Is this app require a deposit? And 2, one of the issues that we got was location. So this app will also tell us, there's scooters at 3rd and Pine. There's no scooters at the transportation station.
Correct. So for your second point, the scooters will appear in the app. There's also a battery life index. So, the scooter only has 20% left. This scooter has 60%. So you don't have to go walk to a scooter only to find it's going to conk out on you after 2 blocks if you have to get all the way across town. Which also reminds me to one of your earlier questions. We proposed those parking locations, but if the city decides, hey, this parking location isn't working, or hey, we have a lot of usage over here, or we're doing some development over here, we can also change those, on a bi-weekly basis or something like that. So definitely want to work to make sure that those parking locations are working for the city and your residents and visitors. As far as your first question with the wallet, a wallet is not required, but it is an option. And if you put money in the wallet, you get bonus cash, depending on how much you put in. It's usually like, if you put in $10, it's like $2. But you also can use Apple Pay or Google Pay to make it easy, and then that just charges you for whatever your ride is.
Okay, great. Thanks. Great job, Mike and James. Just a lot of the thoughts and concerns that we had last year. It seems like you guys really took a thoughtful approach to. So I appreciate that.
Are you finished, Amy?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I just had one real question, and that was, even though the scooter programs have been very successful, the one complaint has been about enforcement and discourteous riders riding on sidewalks. And how are we going to manage that?
So I'll start off and then I'll hand it off to Ben. Link is committed to sitting down with our police department way prior to launch to talk about how the enforcement process should go. What's the line of communications to stop any riders that are not riding properly. And they're also going to provide a direct line via phone to the local team from the police department so that they can work together to stop any rides that are, being unsafe. Ben, I'll let you take it from there if you got anything else.
Yeah, so I think there's there's a few things. One, as the program ramps up and people get familiar with it in Asbury Park again, we plan on having people on the ground. It goes back to the earlier question about having a local workforce, right? We want to have people who know the community. And so if they see somebody acting out, they feel comfortable saying, hey, don't ride on the sidewalk. Hey, behavior, because those standards of behavior are really self-reinforcing. If you see somebody riding incorrectly and nothing happens, then other people tend to ride incorrectly. But if you see people riding correctly then that also reinforces good behavior. I also think that just as an industry, not only is the technology much better, the scooters are better, they're safer, they last longer, but also in the very beginning, riders didn't really, there was no culture of safety, or people didn't understand the rules. As scooters have matured, I think in general, there's a lot more understanding of what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. So I think my experience talking with cities all across the country is that in general, a lot of the earlier issues are less now, not to say that they're none, because they certainly do happen. But I think it's that combination of having the local team on the ground, doing proper training and outreach to the community, working with law enforcement, and in general, just establishing norms of appropriate behavior.
And then one more point on sidewalk riding. A lot of the vendors are working on this, but we really like Link because they are, they come from MIT. They're tech oriented. They are aggressively working on some refined GPS that would be able to detect if someone is actually riding on the sidewalk, and it would tell them to. It would actually bring the scooter to a stop. That's not available now, but that is in development. Is that right, Ben?
Yeah, correct. So depending on the scooter itself is very accurate if the GPS knows where it is. To the scooter itself knows to a couple inches to 3 feet. So it could differentiate between a sidewalk, a bike lane, and a car. The problem right now is that GPS itself has a pretty big error range. It's more like 10 to 15 feet. So depending if there's like a really intense sidewalk, we might actually be able to take GPS error to see how it works. But as our scooter develops, our next generation scooter will be able to take that GPS accuracy down to 1 to 3 feet instead of the current like 10 to 20 feet.
Okay, thank you. Last question: can we have a senior citizen discount?
That is not a request that we have gotten, but I absolutely would love to work with the city on that. So I would be happy to incorporate education and safe riding in the senior citizen community for sure. So we look forward to working with you on that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, more again. And Michael, you, Fred, somebody can correct me. I thought part of the problem last year or 2 years ago was, as far as enforcement, in New Jersey, any ordinance or any resolution we adopt with any type of penalty has to be okayed by the assignment judge, and the assignment judge never okayed, so our police department couldn't enforce people riding on sidewalks. So how do we overcome that?
So we are investigating that again now that we are bringing the scooters back with the assignment judge, as well as it may be possible that the police can actually write a Title 39 ticket for something like this. I think one of the reasons the assignment judge didn't approve the local ordinance was there appeared to be some perceived conflict with Title 39. So there may be something that we can do under existing Title 39 to be able to write a ticket. But Fred is also helping us kind of track that down some more again.
Yeah, and Mayor, this is Donna. One of the questions that I asked that Ben addressed was the geofencing. So even if we don't have the ability to write a summons per se, we have the ability to have the scooter not work on the sidewalk, and then also ban that rider from using the scooter moving forward. So there is some mechanism to keep them off the sidewalks. Whether or not we can find them will be up to the assignment judge.
And
Okay.
I can follow up also on the comments that were just made. I never saw the opinion from Judge Thornton, but it's my understanding that she's taken the position that Title 39 of the state statutes, which generally covers motor vehicle violations generally, preempts the field, and that low speed electric scooters, which are defined under Title 39 and are to be dealt with under the state statutes, under the same restrictions that relate to bicycles and the other provisions that are set forth by state statute, would preempt a municipality from having their own local ordinance and their own local fine and fee schedule associated with violations. So that's something, as Mike indicated, that we're still investigating and trying to get some final determination on, but that's my understanding at this point.
Okay, last question. It's a max of 250. How many we starting with? And when you increase it, I'm not saying I want to say in it, but can you at least tell mayor and council, oh, we went from 50 to 250, so like we're not surprised?
Sure. I think Ben could probably chime in here, but we're still hoping to launch sometime around Memorial Day with 50 scooters, and then go up from there as we feel comfortable and demand sees, and it's totally up to the city to decide when to start increasing the number. And yes, we can definitely loop in mayor council, let you know when that number increases.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. The plan, our hope is that we can launch just a bit before Memorial Day, and that way we can sort of ensure that, the geofences are working properly, the area on the sidewalk where the paint is corresponds to the area that, is in the app and the map and everything like aligns, because, sometimes in the real world it's off a couple feet and, there's issues. And so then we would launch with those 50 scooters, work out the kinks, and then scale up as need presents itself.
Great.
If no other questions, next.
Thanks, guys.
You're on to matters from City Council. Councilmember Clayton.
Good evening, everybody. And I just want to say that I'm really excited that the restrictions are being lessened, but we still have COVID. So don't relax too much. Free testing is going to happen at the Transportation Center on Wednesday, May 12th from 4 to 7. And anyone in the city that is looking for assistance getting a vaccine scheduled, please call our social services department at 732-775-0960. And if you need transportation to a vaccine location, that can be arranged. And you can call 732-431-6480. That's it. Thank you.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes. This past Monday, Arlene Chapman and myself had the privilege of having coffee with the residents of Asbury Park, council with a coffee with the residents. And I tell you, it was a good experience. And I just want to thank all the people that came out. A lot of respect was shown, a lot of talk was shown. And also, Sonia, I wanted to thank her also for the job that she was doing out there and helping us out. And one more thing, just keep on wearing your mask, keep on being safe, and that's it.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
I don't have anything. The one thing I'm going to say, and it's happening nationally, it's happening statewide, and it's happening locally, is hiring. And so I would just ask, I know a number of our small business community has been teetering throughout this pandemic, and I would just ask that we treat the small businesses here with kindness when they start the reopening process, and when these numbers start to go up, and if they are struggling getting staff, that we that we just be kind. That's all.
Mayor Moore.
Nothing, thank you.
Matters from the city manager.
I have nothing at this time, Melody.
Matters from the city attorney.
I have nothing at this time, Melody. Thank you.
We will now move on to the public participation portion of the meeting. Members of the public may participate by dialing *9 on your phone or use the raised hand function in the Zoom meeting. I will call your name and the last 4 digits of your phone number when it's your turn to speak. Please state your name and your complete address for the record. I will give you a warning when you have 1 minute remaining. Do I have a motion to open the meeting up to the public?
Move it, Clayton.
Do I have a second?
Second, Kendall.
All in favor?
Second, Kendall. Aye.
The meeting is now open to the public. I am calling upon 3350. Please state your name and address for the record.
Ernest McNolly, 710 Northeast Street, Boynton Beach, Florida. I'd like to start talking about last council meeting. After I finished speaking, the city attorney, Fred Raffreddo, went on some kind of accusatory public comment, calling me crazy, a drug addict, a liar, and a bunch of other things. So let me just be clear. I know Asbury. I'm born in Long Branch and raised in Asbury and Long Branch for 72 years. I know everything his law firm has done for 82 years. I'm an eyewitness, okay? I'm an eyewitness of his law firm coming to Long Branch and Asbury, married lawyers having sex with city employees in Asbury and Long Branch, okay? Coming and buying cars for tax collectors in Asbury of women that they're sleeping with, okay? On and on. Problems with bars that they own, the Wagon Wheel. I think Raffreddo was involved in this bar on Dark City where they got a license from a garage in a highly polluted space, and then he denied that he had any ownership. Okay, it just keeps going on and on with Ansel Grimarin. Operation Bid Rig, they were in Asbury and Long Branch, right? Terry Weldon, city manager, steals and gets a bribe from Solomon Dweck for $64,000, right? The city manager in Asbury signs the 2012 Master Redevelopment Plan and goes to prison for signing it as a felon for accepting bribes from Solomon Dweck. And who were the city lawyers in Long Branch and Asbury? Ansel Grimarin, especially James Aaron, Mr. Raffreddo's partner, right? Who Mr. Raffreddo likes to talk after a public comment and come out with all his fictitious comments about what a great law firm. Great law firm,
1
Mr.
minute
Raffreddo.
remaining.
You defended the two Eatontown cops who shot 3 people in a Red Bank in an Asbury restaurant, right? Shot them drunk, and your law firm represented them and got them off. He's now an Eatontown police chief. Okay, so your firm needs to be investigated, and I'm a homeowner there. Your firm should be terminated like you were terminated from Long Branch. Terminated for corruption and be investigated. And you too, Mr. Raffreddo, you too. You like to call people names? I'll put you in a lot of problem parties, my friend. Drugs, sex, and a lot of things. So say what you want after I'm finished talking. Big mouth with that city manager and that mayor of yours. Always talking after somebody speaks. Bunch of baloney. No wonder you all got locked up in Operation Bid Rig.
Time's up.
It's John Moore. I'll respond. Yes, I respond after you speak. I would hate to be rude and cut you off as much as you're so rude to 99.9% of the public of America, let alone just the city of Asbury Park. Mr. Raffreddo did not say what you said he said at the last meeting. Maybe you should go back and play the tape and hear exactly what he said. Mr. Raffreddo never denied partial ownership of a business he had and always recused himself from that point until he got out of the business from any liquor matters. So again, Mr. McNolly in Florida, you were wrong, wrong, wrong again. And yes, that's more responding to you. Next, please.
I'm calling upon 9700. 9700. Please state your name and address for the record. (9700) *6 to unmute yourself.
Hello, am I on?
Yes, please state your name and full address.
Yeah, good evening. Peter Siegel, 1412 Main Street. The gentleman before me said, say what you want after I'm done speaking, so I will take him up on this opportunity. Regretfully, all of us will never get those 3 minutes of our lives back. I'm sorry that we all have to continue to listen to that. from a person who just said that he's a homeowner. He's not a homeowner in Asbury Park, and we still have to listen to it. It's not right. It's not good. It's not fair to our city council, who are public servants. They're not paid. To other community board members that do this voluntarily to try and improve and better our city. I know I'm tired of it, and thank you for allowing me to say what I want. The main reason I wanted to get on the call tonight is to acknowledge that our city just came out of a very intense period of time where there was this election on the rent control ordinance. And I wanted to just, I was on the vote no side, and I wanted to come out and say thank you to everyone. It was a really important debate and conversation to have, and our city was able to have it because the Asbury Park Affordable Housing Coalition brought it to the forefront. And, you know, while I didn't love it, it was an important thing for our community to go through, and I recognize that, and I congratulate our entire community for getting policy in place that protects renters. And hopefully now we can all come together. The day after the election, I personally went and met with the leaders of the Affordable Housing Coalition and met with them for a little while the next day and spoke and talked about how we might be able to have a dialogue and work together. And I hope that they reach out and continue the dialogue with me and other members of the community, especially regarding the issue that there's renters in town that live in horrific conditions. And I heard a lot of those stories, and it pains me to hear those stories. As a property owner, I take a lot of pride in my own properties, and we don't have any conditions issues or deficiencies or violations or anything like that. And it really stinks to hear that there's property owners that are not keeping their properties up. And so I want to be helpful to the Affordable Housing Coalition and to renters, and to try and help get conditions improved. And I hope that they continue to have a dialogue with me. I'll try and do the same. But I'm glad it's over, and hopefully we can all come together. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Next.
Calling upon 5124. Please state your name and full address for the record.
Hi, my name is Rita Morano. I want to talk a little bit about the scooters.
Rita, we need your address.
Oh, 504 8th Avenue, Asbury Park. The scooters, we're going to get 35 cents for every scooter they rent, and it's 35 cents for a minute. So that means they're getting $21 an hour, right? I don't know if my math is right, but that's what it looks like to me. That seems like an awful little bit to get. Forget about riding on the sidewalks. You saw people tailgating on them. They're kind of a dangerous little motorcycle because nobody follows the rules, especially in Asbury. That's all I want to say about the scooter. You better think about that rental. And, you know, everything could take place, but nothing is in place. Are the police going to be involved? Well, you should know all the rules before this even starts. Riding on a sidewalk is one of them. Leave them laying around, like they say they can't lay around now, but I bet they will. It was just like the bicycle wreck that was around the corner from me. That was terrible in a residential neighborhood. But anyway, I wanted to ask why you haven't passed the new codes for the city of Asbury Park. That's one of my questions. The other one, sorry to say, it does relate to Raffetto. In the bill resolution, which I didn't have time to go over completely, there was a payment for $13,000 for, it was a blanket payment to Raffetto and Company. And I was just wondering, that is not, a blanket one is not part of his contract, is it? That's what I want to know. I'm not sure. But that, when it's part of his contract, when it's part of his contract and he's getting paid, it says so. It says that it goes to the company. This just said blanket. That means he can, there's a multiple of things in that bill, right? And that's all I want to say. I mean, like, I think you better think twice about the scooters and find out all the rules before you even start with this thing. Have them in writing on paper, because you know it's not going to happen. They tailgated all over this city every night or whenever they were, mostly on weekends. It was really very bad. So that should be looked at carefully. We don't need all this traffic here, do we? We have enough traffic. And the other thing is, you better pass those codes, because people are coming before the zoning board before you even pass the codes, because they want to get away with doing certain things.
Time's up.
Okay, Rita's John Moore. You can either call myself or Donna tomorrow. I'm a little bit confused exactly what codes you're talking about, so you can enlighten us with specifically what you're talking about. As far as the scooters, and I'm going to call it the profit sharing, we went out for RFPs, and believe me, this was the most generous profit sharing plan of anybody who applied. So it was part of the criteria who got the contract, because they were giving the city the most money. When we did it 2 years ago, we were getting zero. So now, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, we're getting $50,000 up front, and we're getting 35 cents a ride, which we're equating should be between $40,000 and $50,000 in a normal year. So it's better than nothing. It's the best out of all offers by all other companies. And as far as Fred's bill, you know, I review the bills, and as much as it does say, and I'm looking at it now, it does say blanket at the end. That's just some in-house that Joanne does. I have no idea why. I looked at the bill. I'm going to say it had like 15 different categories on there, as far as like, you know, foreclosures, ordinances, everything. And I reviewed the bill, and everything was 100% correct about it. So I agree. It does say blanket. Says it seems Marazine and Falcon says blanket, and Parker McKay say blanket. Maybe we should take that blanket word out. So it was a bill that was well documented for each and every dollar that was required and requested. There was an explanation of where it was spent. And again, get Donna or me. I'd prefer if you send it to Donna, you can CC me exactly what codes you're talking about, and we'll get you an answer within 24 hours. Thank you.
Mayor, this is Donna. Just to clarify on the blanket purchase order, the way that we set up these blankets is for our professionals primarily. We'll set up an amount, for example, you know, $30,000, and then we'll draw down from that blanket each bill list to pay for the bills that come in on a monthly basis. And this is a common practice throughout the state of New Jersey to set up blanket POs for monthly occurring services.
Okay, no problem. But I didn't want Rita to think it was like the Asbury hardware store. We were a blanket PO.
Understood.
You just go and get.
Yeah.
So, but Rita, I did look at the bill, and there was nothing wrong with it whatsoever. And again, Donna, if you know what codes, if not, Rita can get in touch with you tomorrow.
I'm not sure at all what she's talking about. Be happy to talk to her.
Thank you. Next.
Calling upon Michael Kushner. Michael Kushner, please state your name and full address for the record.
Hi, this is Polly Shilga here on Michael Kushner's computer, 1100 Fifth Avenue. Thanks everybody for all of you for being willing to look at open streets in the city again. I'm speaking for myself on my own behalf, but also as a founding member of Asbury Park Complete Streets Coalition. We are about enabling people to get around the city safely, pre-COVID, on foot, on bikes, or on other conveyances, and not dependent upon cars. So I want to address what Rita said, her concerns about scooters. I totally get it. There are some renegade scooter riders, and we hope that this, whatever the scooter operator is, will be able to address those issues, a lot of those issues. We are very concerned also, as Rita mentioned, she's concerned about traffic. We have way too much traffic, automobile traffic, and cars kill 40,000 people a year in the United States alone, inside of vehicles and outside of vehicles, pedestrians and people on bikes. So our hope is that as we move forward with open streets and with micromobility options like scooters, like bikes, that people are going to be able to get around the city without cars, and that we'll see less and less traffic as a result. And at the same time, have streets that are open to people walking, riding bikes, and not driving through the business district, maybe even the waterfront, and enabling people to gather safely on foot, to be able to access businesses quickly on bikes and on scooters, not to have to circle in traffic looking for parking spaces. So the vision that we have, Asbury Park Complete Streets.
1 minute remaining.
Thank you. The vision that we have for the city is as a model city going forward. We're so small as 1.4 square miles. We could follow the models that we see occurring in other cities, other states in the United States, but all over Europe, where people are able to gather in squares and walk and still access businesses. Businesses flourish when people are able to get to them without their cars. It's scary. It's new. Scooters are scary. They're new. They do sometimes renegade scooter riders do stupid things. Bicycle riders do too. But we need to ease up on our dependency on cars. So I really believe that Asbury Park is moving in the right direction and we can make this work. So thanks, everybody, and good night.
Thank you. Next.
Not seeing any other hands raised, the motion to close the meeting to the public.
Move to close,
Move it more.
Kendall.
Second.
Kendall.
All in favor? The meeting is now closed to the public. We will now move on to the consent agenda resolutions. We have on the, the minutes. We are on to the minutes. We have the municipal executive meeting minutes of March 24th, the municipal executive meeting minutes of April 14th, and the municipal council regular meeting minutes of April 14th. Do I have a motion?
Move it. Clayton.
Do I have a second?
Yes, second, Kendall.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
We are on to the consent agenda resolutions. We have Resolution 2021-199 through 2021-204. Do I have a motion?
Move it, Kendall.
Do I have a second?
Second, Quinn.
Roll call. Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
We're on to individual resolutions. We have Resolution 21-205, a resolution approving the payment of bills. Do I have a motion?
Move it, Quinn.
Second, Kendall.
Roll call. Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
No.
We are on to Resolution 21-206, and I'm looking for a motion to table Resolution 21-206.
More motion to table.
Second, Quinn.
Roll call. Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution tabled. Resolution 21-207, a resolution awarding a contract to Millennium Communication Groups for cameras and electronics at Liberty Square Park. Do I have a motion?
Move it, Clayton.
Do I have a second?
Quinn.
Roll call. Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
On to Resolution 21-208, a resolution awarding a contract to Millennium Communications Group for South Boardwalk security upgrades. Do I have a motion?
Move it, Kendall.
Second, Quinn.
Roll call. Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
On to Resolution 21-209, a resolution awarding a contract to Millennium Communication Group for cameras and wireless equipment at Cookman and Madison Avenue. Do I have a motion?
Move it, Quinn.
Second, Kendall.
Roll call. Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution 21-210, a resolution appointing PKF O'Connor Davies to conduct a sewer rate study and authorizing the execution of an agreement for professional services associated therewith. Do I have a motion?
Move
Move
it,
it, Quinn. Second, Quinn.
Roll call. Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution 21-211, a resolution authorizing an agreement for monthly toxicity testing at the sewer plant. I couldn't spit that one out. Do I have a motion?
Move it, Kendall.
Second, Quinn.
Roll call. Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution 21-212, a resolution appointing ShorePoint Architecture to provide architectural and engineering services for the new fire station and authorizing the award of a non-fair and open professional service contract. Do I have a
Move
motion?
it, Quinn.
Second, Kendall.
Roll call. Councilmember Clayton.
No.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution 21-213, a resolution authorizing the purchase of ammunition for the police department. Do I have a motion?
Move it,
Move it,
Quinn.
Kendall.
Second, Quinn.
Roll call. Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
We're on to Resolution 21-214, a resolution of the mayor and the City Council of the City of Asbury Park referring proposed amendments to the section entitled District Standards and Definitions in the Central Business District Redevelopment Plan to the City of Asbury Park Planning Board and directing the Planning Board to take certain actions pursuant to N.J.S.A. 40A:12A. Do I have a motion?
Move it, Quinn.
Second.
Second, Kendall.
Roll call. Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
On to Resolution 21-215, a resolution authorizing change order number 1 for 1117 Sunset Avenue demolition. Do I have a motion?
Move it, Quinn.
Second,
Wait a minute.
Any questions or comments before roll call? Councilmember, I'll move on to roll call. Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yep.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
We're on to Resolution 21-217, an award of an e-scooter share program for the City of Asbury Park. Do I have a motion?
Move it, Quinn.
Second.
Second, Kendall.
Roll call. Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
We are now on to second readings, public hearings. Do you want a brief overview of the ordinance before we open it up to the public, Mayor?
Absolutely. So I guess the first one would be Manzella.
Mike, do you want to give us a brief overview?
Or I can also pass it to James, the transportation manager.
Okay.
James, are you there?
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, good.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to find the presentation.
This is
We're talking about the.
Sylvan Avenue, Adams Street, Atkins Avenue.
Okay, so we have an ordinance to change Adams Street to a one-way west. That there's development going in between Springwood Avenue and Atkins Avenue on that plot of land, with driveways opening up onto Adams Street. The road itself is not that wide, and it probably won't be conducive to parking on both sides, and it definitely cannot fit two-way traffic with increased parking. So the idea is to keep the flow of traffic while allowing parking on one side of the road. And this will, making it travel west, will allow people to enter on Sylvan, which is a one-way to the south, and exit, allow people on Adams Street to exit onto Atkins Avenue, and they can go either direction from there. To while planning for future growth and future parking demand, we also suggested the removal of parking along one side of Atkins Avenue between Springwood and Adams Street, as well as on Avenue A between Springwood Avenue and Adams Street. Those roads are just kind of thin and kind of small, and this would allow traffic to go in two directions, as well as have parking on one side.
Thank you.
Thank you, James. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 21-10?
Move it, Kendall.
Second, Clayton.
All in favor?
Aye.
The public hearing is now open on ordinance 21-10. Members of the public may participate by dialing star 9 on your phone or use the raised hand function in the Zoom meeting. I will call your name or the last 4 digits of your phone number when it's your turn to speak. Please state your name and complete address, and your comments must only be about the ordinance being presented for public hearing. I am calling upon 5124. 5124, please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, it's Rita Morano, 504 8th Avenue. This is another one of the poor planning. Adams Street's been there for 150 years, and now all of a sudden, because you got a project going in, you can't use, you can only use one side of the street. There's got to be better planning and zoning for all these streets, and that's all I have to say. I know Adams Street.
Thank you, Rita.
I'm calling upon 3350. Please state your name and address for the record. 3350.
Ernest McNolly, 710 Northeast 7th Street, Boynton Beach, Florida, 33435. At least I'm not calling in and giving my business address on Main Street like a lot of these developers, and a lot of them live in New York, and they're just giving phony addresses.
Mr. McNolly, you
yes, it's about the street.
You're straying about what other people did previously. Stick to the ordinance, or else I'm going to mute you, and you're not going to come back on. Go ahead, sir.
So, relative to Adams and Springwood and the development, I totally agree with some other callers that this planning is always in a way to appease the high density urbanization in those areas with high density units, with garages underneath the buildings, and bringing in all kinds of cars so that the people in the neighborhood can't enjoy what they've enjoyed for 100 years, which is two-way streets with parking. So the more you do high development density developing, the more you're taken away from homeowners and people who rent there and people who work in the city from being able to enjoy their streets the way they are. And a lot of this, I find, is prompted by your parking department over on Springwood that tends to come up with these ideas that always seem to take away parking of the residents of Springwood area in general and Adams because of the developments, so that the homeowners are really being penalized for what the high density developers are doing. And it's just not fair, but it just keeps happening over and over again. And I'm also going to say that it's my opinion relative to these streets that the parking authority has very special deals where certain people get tickets and certain don't, certain businesses do and certain don't, certain developments do and certain don't, and especially around Adams and Springwood. Especially around Adams.
Is there anybody else like to be heard?
There are no other hands raised.
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The public hearing is now closed on ordinance 21-10. Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 21-10?
Move it more.
Second, Quinn.
Roll call. Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to ask for a brief overview. James, can you give us a brief overview on ordinance 21-11 before we open it up to the public?
Yes. This ordinance is in response to some complaints and some safety issues we heard regarding the alleyways and lanes on the northwest portion of the city, specifically Roseland, Cuba, Fishes, Albion, and Charms. We have constantly heard a lot of speeding, a lot of cut-through driving, as well as a lot of parked cars that are blocking emergency vehicles as well as residents from being able to access these alleyways. In response to that, we are proposing that these alleyways be designated as one-directional and do not provide parking on the public right-of-way. People can park behind their homes, but not on the public right-of-way that the alleyway is owned by the city.
Does that complete your overview, James?
Yes, it does.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 21-11?
Move to
Move
open.
it, Kendall.
All in favor?
Second, Kendall. Aye.
The public hearing is now open on ordinance 21-11. Members of the public may participate by dialing *9 on your phone or use the raised hand function in the Zoom meeting. I will call your name or the last 4 digits of your phone number when it's your turn to speak. Your comments must only be about the ordinance being presented for public hearing. I am calling upon 5124. 5124. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, Rita Moreno, 504 8th Avenue. Who's James? That's all I want to know. I never heard that name before.
James is the transportation manager.
Oh, that's his last name or his first?
James is his first name.
Oh,
James,
okay. I didn't know who it was. Okay, now I know. That's all. I don't care about the alleyways.
Thank you. Next.
I'm calling upon 3350. 3350. Please state your name and address for the record. (3350).
Hello?
3350, name and address for the record. All right, not hearing anything. I'm going to move on to someone else. I'm calling upon Michael Kushner. Michael Kushner, please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, it's Polly Shulga again on Michael Kushner's computer, 1100 Fifth Avenue. Just saying thanks and welcome James again. James Bonanno, Transportation Manager. We happen to live on an alley or right next to an alley or between a couple of alleys in the city. Alleys are an amazing thing in every city. I think they have a second kind of a life of their own, mostly kind of mysterious, but sometimes problematic in that drivers do take advantage of having these sort of off the main drag opportunities to drive fast or to park. And again, it's addressing an issue that we have with hashtag too many cars and a lot of speeding. So great that we're addressing this problem and making sure that drivers can't take advantage of our alleys because they really are an amazing kind of, background aspect to our city. So thanks a lot, James and Mike and everybody else. Bye.
Thank you. Next.
I'm calling upon 3350. 3350, your name and address for the record.
Yeah, for 5 minutes, when I try and unmute, it says you're muted by the host, and I can't unmute. So that's probably typical. I guess that you're just trying to pay me back for something.
Your name and address for the record.
710 Northeast 7th Street, Boynton Beach, Florida, 33435. So relative to these alleys, I'm looking to repurchase an Asbury or Long Branch, and the alleys are always a problem, and I'll tell you why. First of all, if you propose to make them, I guess, one way or no parking on there, you're not going to have a problem with more cars on the streets. Instead of this, a lot of the homes that have entrances or walkways where they park in these alleys. The other problem I find with the alleys is that the city is not meticulous about enforcing the fencing on homes that are on alleys, which means if you're on a street with an alley and you have a house on that corner, you're not allowed to have a 6-foot fence that people can't see through because cars coming out of the alley can't see people walking on the sidewalk, especially around schools. But I find that the city somehow, if somebody makes I don't know what it's called, an application for a variance.
Okay, Mr. Magnolia, I'm sorry to interrupt you. You're straying from the ordinance. The ordinance has nothing to do with fences, property lines, whatsoever. It has to do with the streets being one way, parking, etc. So keep your comments to that, please. Okay. So the streets being one way, everybody knows people speed on the alleys, and it's just my opinion that without parking, you're going to further complicate the parking on the streets instead of in the alleys. And in my opinion, if you do it this way, it's going to cause safety issues where the alleys come out into the streets. That's it. Thank you. Next.
Not seeing any other hands raised. A motion to close the public hearing on Ordinance 21-11.
Move it, Kendall.
Moore. Second, Moore.
All in favor?
Aye.
The public hearing is now closed on Ordinance 21-11. Do I have a motion to adopt Ordinance 21-11?
Move to adopt, Clayton.
Second, Moore.
Roll call. Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Ordinance 21-11 has been adopted. Our third and final public hearing of the night is Ordinance 21-17, an ordinance establishing a restricted parking space for use by handicapped persons at property located at 1100 block of Langford Street in the city of Asbury Park, and amending and supplementing section 7-36 entitled Handicap Parking of Chapter 7 Traffic of the revised general ordinances of the city of Asbury Park. Do you want a brief overview? Yeah.
No, it's pretty self-explanatory. No need.
Okay. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 21-17?
Move it more.
Move it, Kendall.
All in favor?
Aye.
The public hearing is now open on ordinance 21-17. Members of the public may participate by dialing star 9 on your phone or to raise your hand in the Zoom meeting. Your comments must only be about the ordinance being presented for public hearing. I'm calling upon 3350. Please state your name and address for the record.
Ernest Mignoli, 710 Northeast 7th Street, Boynton Beach, Florida, 23435. So I really think it's important and very, very good that you're considering applications, and it seems like you could pass these handicap applications, because not just myself, I know a lot of people in Asbury who are handicapped, and there just seems to be a bit of a shortage. So when you get these applications and you approve them, I think it says a lot about your intent to help everyone in the city. So I hope you pass this.
Thank you. Next.
Not seeing any other hands raised, the motion to close the public hearing on 21-17.
Move to close, Quinn. Second, Quinn.
All in favor?
Aye.
The public hearing has now been closed on ordinance 21-17. Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 21-17?
Move to adopt, Kendall.
Second.
Second more.
Roll call. Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
We are now on to adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn,
Move.
Quinn.
Second, Kendall.
All in favor?
Aye.
The meeting is now adjourned.